All right, let's talk about building wealth. Today, we are going to break down the essentials step by step, even if you're starting with, absolutely nothing.
So, let's kick things off with a pretty big question, one that really gets to the core of why investing is so important. You've worked hard, you've tucked some money away in a savings account. It feels safe, right? But is safe really the same as smart? Well, the answer might actually surprise you. You see, there's this sneaky little thing called inflation. Just think about it for a second. $1,000 today buys a whole lot less than it did 20 years ago, right? The number you see on your bank statement doesn't change, but its actual power, what you can buy with it, is shrinking every single day.
And that's the key takeaway here. The first goal of investing isn't really about getting rich overnight. It's actually about defense. It's about protecting your money from silently losing its value. It's about making your money work for you just to keep pace. Now, I know when you hear the word investing, your mind probably jumps to 100 different things. Stocks, crypto, real estate, the whole shebang. And it can feel super complex and honestly pretty risky. But what if there was a simple, way more reliable path that some of the most legendary investors recommend for pretty much everyone?
So the choice you're often faced with is this. Do you try to find that one winning stock, that needle in a haystack? Or do you go with a much, much simpler strategy? Instead of betting everything on a single company, what if you could buy a tiny piece of hundreds of great companies all at once?
And that's where something called an index fund comes in. The easiest way to think about it is like a pre-packaged basket that holds stocks from all the top companies in a specific market, like the S&P 500. So when you buy into that fund, you instantly own a small piece of the entire market. It's instant diversification.
This is what that power looks like in action. When you put your money into an S&P 500 index fund, you're not just betting on one company to succeed. Nope, you're instantly investing in Apple, NVIDIA, Microsoft, Amazon, and nearly 500 other leading companies. You're basically betting on the long-term growth of the entire U.S. economy.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. This isn't some fringe idea. This is the exact advice from Warren Buffett, who is, arguably the most successful investor in history. His message couldn't be clearer. Don't try to be a hero and time the market. Just keep buying consistently and let time do the heavy lifting for you.
So what kind of results are we talking about here? Well, historically, this simple set-it-and-forget-it strategy has delivered an average return of about 7 to 9% a year. Now, that might not sound like winning the lottery, I get it, but the real magic is the power of compounding over decades. That's what makes this a proven path to building real wealth.
Okay, I know what you're thinking. This all sounds great, until it isn't. This brings us to the biggest fear that stops most people dead in their tracks. It's a totally fair question. What happens when the market crashes? What if I lose everything? Let's look at a real-world example from just a few years ago. Let's say you invested $1,000 right at the peak just before the pandemic crash in 2020. Yeah, you would have seen it plummet to just $660 in a matter of weeks. That would have been absolutely terrifying. But look what happened if you just held on. By August, it was right back where you started. And by the end of the next year, it was worth $1,400. And that is the key insight. If you panic and sell when things look bad, you lock in that loss forever. But history shows us again and again that markets recover. The downturns are scary, for sure, but they're temporary. The long-term trend of human progress and growth, though, that has been incredibly consistent. And this isn't just some wishful thinking. There are real, powerful forces driving this. We humans are always innovating, creating more value. The global economy and population keep growing. And maybe most importantly, the index itself is kind of self-healing. Failing companies get dropped, and the new successful ones take their place. It's designed to win over time.
So, this steady, reliable path we've been talking about, you could call it the slow lane to wealth. It's proven, and it works, but it definitely takes time. Which naturally leads to the next question. Is there a fast lane? Is there a way to speed this whole process up?
Well, the fast lane is all about reframing what investing even means. Instead of just putting money into stocks, it's about investing in things that can radically boost your income. And the two most powerful levers you have for that, your own skills and your own business.
I mean, just look at the difference in potential here. You put $1,000 in the stock market, in a good year, you might make around $70. But what if you spent that same $1,000 on a course, a certification, a new skill? That could add thousands to your salary every single year. And using it to start a small business, the potential there is, well, it's off the charts.
Now, this doesn't mean you have to pick one or the other. In fact, the most powerful strategy out there is to combine them. You use the fast lane,
building your skills, maybe starting a side hustle to aggressively increase your income. Then you take all that extra money and pour it into the passive, reliable, slow lane of index funds for that long-term, compounding growth. It's the best of both worlds.
Which really brings us to a final thought. While the stock market is an amazing tool for growing your money, maybe, just maybe, the best investment you could ever possibly make, the one with the highest return, is in yourself. Your own ability to learn, to create, and to build. Something to think about.